who was the hardest or most dangerous wrestler to work with? I've heard Goldberg was a bit dangerous with his work ethic, and a lot of wrestlers didn't want to work with him. What's your opinion? So, Ted, we know that the Ultimate Warrior is at the very top of your list when it comes to.
You took the words out of my mouth. The ultimate idiot.
See,
That's what I called it. The ultimate idiot.
I knew where you were going.
I'm sorry he couldn't find his ass with both hands.
Is there anybody else though that stands out as somebody that you would get in there and just have trouble getting a good match out of?
Uh, I can't think of anybody that was, that I worked with enough to have that opinion. I mean, there had been like jobbers that we called them, guys that were there basically because on the TV shows, oftentimes you were just given a guy who didn't have a name, nobody knew him, but he was your opponent, and basically he was there to get his butt kicked.
Hmm.
That's what we call them, jobbers. And there'd been a couple of times when I was in the ring with guys like that, when you're trying to tell them what to do and they don't know what they're doing, or they get in there and they would just kind of, because they've never been on TV before and they freeze up or something. But other than that, I can't think of you know I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, I was trying to think of somebody to pitch your way, and I can't really come up with much of anybody. I know that, like King Kong Bundy in the Mid South or the Georgia days was not, considered like a super polished guy and maybe a guy that would be hard to get a good match out of. But
No, but I had no problem with him, and he's a smart guy. I mean, he interviewed well. He was good. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. We would tease each other, and I can't remember what it was about all the time. But
the big joke with him was Ernie Ladd giving him shit about being lazy and saying, Bundy, you're stealing money.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's what it was. I would mimic. I would come in the dressing room and mimic Ernie. Bundy, Bundy, you're stealing money from Mid South, Bundy.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, again, good. It's you don't want to be having to call out a bunch of guys who are terrible. Now, here's the thing I hear about job guys, because you mentioned them, is that a lot of times they just were local guys that were being brought in and thereby just weren't good and didn't know what they were doing in the ring. And guys like Kevin Sullivan and the Steiners, and I could probably name tens of other people, but they would force them to cooperate, for lack of a better way to put it, where if the guy is in the ring with him and he's not moving the way they want him to, okay, I'm going to force you to move the way I want you to. And they would kind of get rough with them. Kevin Sullivan would do that double stomp on their chest, and the Steiners, of course, would stretch him out there in the ring. Did you ever have to take liberties with a job guy?
There was only maybe once or twice where I had to get somebody's attention to let them know, who's running this show and why you're here. You're not here to get over. You're here to get me over.
Ah,
And of course, which is something that they should know from the get go, and were told from the get go. And yeah, so I had, uh, I didn't rough too many people up. I just, that wasn't in my nature. But I would rough them up enough to get their attention.
just like a quick stiff shot to say, like, all right, wake up, let's go, kind of
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, uh huh.